Is there a dev stream today? Today's Wednesday. That's nuts. PvP and World versus World news. Interesting. But why did they do this out of the blue? That's so random. Let's jump in here, guys. Let's check this out.
It's all out of control.
Welcome back. I am Pseudo. This is going to be reacting to this live. Apparently everybody and their cat saw this and I missed it, so we'll be doing a stream for it. Apparently they're doing it today because there's a lot of releases next week, and I credit my chat with this. I completely missed it, so let's get it rolling. It's gonna rock.
All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to the stream. Afternoon, good morning, good evening, what have you.
People are always salty no matter what.
Believe it or not, I have returned. Not here last time. But...
Where was Carl? He should have just put Carl under
the first time
Roy,
we've
you
ever
know?
done the stream.
Oh, that's true. This is the first time we've ever done the stream. Fortunately, Cal and Taylor are here still, and they are here to carry the stream as always.
That looks like he's in an office.
Before we get started, Taylor, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. I see I'm listed as a wrestling enthusiast.
Yes.
I think that joke is going over my head, but you know, I'll take your word for it.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of the stream is when we pan to this scene and I get to see what titles Roy has given to everybody.
It's never going to say closeted warrior, man.
So we'll give let Cal give an intro, and talk a little bit about what we're doing today on the stream.
Come on, guys, let's rock.
Let's go. Kind of forgot we were doing the stream today. I've been spending so much time playing the raiding simulator that got posted to Reddit recently. So, I don't even know why we're here. I don't know what we're doing, but Cal, take it away.
Strong start.
Sure. Yeah, so just to start off, it's not a balance preview stream. I know a lot of people thought it might be, but this is a different stream. We're talking about competitive modes here today. So
oh, you
PvP,
coward. Give us a date.
We have seen kind of the response to the balance update previews that we've done, and you know, we end up getting a lot of good feedback for those, and they're just kind of an enjoyable thing for you guys in the community. Hopefully, at least that's the vibe we get, at least. So we keep doing them. So we thought with some of the competitive updates we were doing that it would be nice to do a preview stream as well.
Dude,
you know,
for
get some
real,
early feedback. Obviously, some of the things are going to be a little bit harder to theory craft about before they're in game than balance stuff might
give
be.
Give it to us.
The same gist here, where it's like we're gonna show you some stuff that's coming. This stuff's actually coming next week.
What?
So that's pretty exciting. But you know, in the future we might have a little bit more run-up time for the preview and before the release happens. But this one's kind of come together fairly quickly, so we are kind of, you know, winging it a little bit as we do.
And we're fixing Bladesworn now.
But we're going to be talking about some upcoming changes to PvP and World vs. World that are coming in the release next week.
Please.
One thing I'll add is that we aren't going to say anything about the game mode stuff that we talked about very, very briefly for PvP. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Oh my god, they actually mentioned it.
But
it's
that will
happening,
be included in today's stream.
BuildWars2.
I think I covered everything.
I think so.
I'm mostly just here to be on the stream. I don't know why I'm here. Roy and Taylor are going to be doing most of the talking, so I figured I'd get all my rambling out of the way at the start. Maybe I can come
has
back
to
and
be in an
ramble for
office,
the outro.
right?
But for the most part, I'm just going to sit here smiling while Roy and Taylor talk about changes for World v. World and PvP.
Hey, sitting here smiling's my job.
Oh, and one other thing I was going to mention that probably no one cares about, but just to explain, I saw some people asking, like, what are these guys doing on this stream? Don't they do the balance streams? But this is the competitive team, actually, and the skills and balance team, a subset of the competitive team. It's all under the same umbrella. So PvP, World v. World, skills and balance, it's all the same team, basically.
I'm so tempted to skip
there's obviously more members than are seen on this stream,
I'll have it
but it is not unusual for the three of us to be here talking about competitive modes.
They're probably the only ones that have been cleared by legal, for real. Like, so actual reason?
That's probably enough rambling for the start of this, huh?
Yeah, probably.
Let's go!
I will also mention, you know, Cal touched upon the fact that these changes are going to be coming next week. Obviously, that's not a ton of time for us to, you know, iterate on anything. But we are going to be... The reason we're showing you these changes, in part, is because we are looking for feedback on them. So we are going to be paying attention to the feedback.
Feedback in 1 week.
As always.
Yeah, good fucking luck.
You know, throughout the various avenues, and you know, see the response to the change. Yeah, I think we can get into it, and we can start talking about them.
Let's go, boys.
Coming next week. And we're going to be starting off with the PvP changes, which means that Taylor is going to be talking for the next hour. Cal and I will be saying no words.
Sick.
It's not going to take that long, but as you see here, there are 3 major points to talk about for PvP. We're taking the AT system and expanding it, adding new automated tournaments, shifting how the
They
current
did
ones
mention
work.
a lot of this.
We'll be adding a new colored title for PvP. After World v World and PvE got theirs, we got a lot of player feedback that PvP also wants one. So you guys know that we already said we're coloring Champion Brawler, but we're also going to be adding a new title for tournament play based on those ATs I just talked about. And then finally, we're doing a slight rework to Djinn's Dominion's objective. We saw that, not many people really interacted with it. It was seen as not really valuable, so we've made some efforts into making people actually want to do the objective.
Very cool.
Yep, so this is the first slide on ATs. This is going to talk about both dailies and a new weekly tournament. The biggest thing for dailies that you guys need to know is that we're reducing the amount that happens from 8 to 4, but these ATs are now going to happen asynchronously on each region to happen more in their prime times. So you can see that I've listed the times for EU and NA here. In UTC, and then NA is also in PDT, so if you're East Coast, you can work backwards on what those times are. But basically, the EU ones are going to happen every 3 hours in a block of 4, and then NA is going to happen every 3 hours for a block of 3, and then we also have one that's offset a bit. That's because we see a high amount of off hours play on NA, especially with the Oceanic player base, and so this one's positioned for them because we did see signups happening for them with the old AT system, and so we're going to be monitoring these times, especially the Oceanic one, to look at their signups, make sure if we have them in the right place. But these are the times we're going to go with. And the bigger note here is that we're adding a new weekly AT. It's going to happen every Sunday, sorry. And as like the dailies, it's also going to happen asynchronously. About 3 hours after EU happens, it'll happen on NA. So hopefully be a better time slot for both regions. Pretty close to when the monthlies happen because people are used to being able to log on for tournaments at that time. So that's going to happen every Sunday. There'll be no QP entry for these. And the gold rewards are increased compared to like a daily tournament. You can see here that first place gets 150 gold. So 150 gold a week, that's pretty good. But even the 9th through 16th place gets 25 gold. Pretty comparable to just winning a daily AT. So, the value for just signing up and playing, pretty good. And we're also included Ascended Shards of Glory and PvP League tickets as a way for, people that don't really want to grind rank that much, but still want the PvP rewards. They have this option to sign up for the weekly tournament and help get some of those currencies to help their grinds in a different way.
And get bullied in exchange for juiced rewards.
For us to all play ATs together.
No, it makes sense though.
Yep, I'm sure that
we're gonna get the ANET team back together.
ANET team, we'll get Joshua Grouch, not a Grouch Davis.
I effing dare you.
And we just need one more.
Yep, going to be stiff competition for you guys there.
Yeah, we made top 4 of the first AT ever.
Since Taylor's getting fired after this stream.
You can do it again.
Not really. He's
not have Taylor and I on your team though.
Yeah, neither of you guys worked here yet.
I was like, what?
All right, very good.
Let's
Moving
go.
on to the automated tournaments.
Let's fluff more specifics. Come on, guys.
Updates continued slide.
Yep.
So big it needs 2 slides.
So these are going to be even more tournaments that are happening. So right now the monthly happens every 4th Saturday, which gives us more time to do other things. So we're going to add a new variety tournament that's happening every 2nd Saturday of the month. It'll occur at the same time as the monthly. These are not asynchronous. It happens at the same time as the monthly, and it's mostly because there are prestigious rewards attached to these. You can see that there's going to be a special title based on if it's 2v2 or 3v3, and the permanent champion's rest pass. So kind of like the gizmos that come in monthlies, we want to make sure that they're not being fully gate kept, which is why they happen at the same time on both regions. But as you can see, it's going to alternate between 2v2 or 3v3. So the first one is probably going to be in August. I think we missed July, so it'll be 3v3. If this is the return of Duo of Destiny for 2v2.
This is actually exploding
my
brain,
that happened
chat.
once, and so people have more chances to get it. And 3v3 will have its own title as well when it happens.
This is huge. This is them
I believe
admitting.
it's Triumphant Trio.
I gotta pause this for just like a second. This is actually enormous, chat, because one of the biggest problems with PvP in this game is they've never touched the fact, they don't ever touch the drama that surrounds NA, that it's just like there's huge gatekeeping, and they specifically use that word whether they were supposed to or not. So whatever you think about Team USA, they and a bunch of other people are the only people who win those gizmos and that permanent champions rest pass, which is like the PvP lobby. So if they can do something to at least give other people a chance as a studio and admit that they want other people to have those rewards, that is a huge mentality mindset. At least what they're signaling to the community of people who care about this stuff, that they want to do something to increase the amount of people who are comfortable in a PvP area. That's awesome. You're still going to get bullied. Absolutely. These people are still impossible because they're really good at the game. But this is huge as a studio mentality shift. Oh my god. This is the last thing I thought they would ever do as a studio. Like, actually, period.
Okay.
This is enormous.
So,
I love it.
Pretty good.
You know, if you like that, then great. Other than that, Tournament of
Yes.
Legends is returning, as we mentioned before. It's
if I
going to
don't
run.
like it?
What if I don't like it?
Yeah, what
Well,
if you don't
that's
like
not-
it?
You know, it's
Dang.
just unfortunate. Life happens.
Yeah.
But Tournament of Legends currently scheduled to run every
Oh
6
my
months.
God.
We're not ready to announce where the first
That's
TOL is coming,
unfortunate.
but announcement's gonna be soon, so keep your eyes out for that. This will occur the third Saturday
Monster,
of the month.
where
at the
are
same time
you?
as MATs. So
Got
you
some
know,
planning
the
to
month
do,
that
dude.
TOL happens, the second Saturday you'll have the variety, then you'll have TOL, then you'll have monthly, pretty big. And if people remember the last TOL, the rewards weren't great because they haven't been updated for a while. The second place got a precursor, which is like
Yeah, a
30,
little
40
bit.
gold now, which is not great.
Ooh.
So they have been pretty juiced,
Unless you get the-
updated.
Dark precursor.
I think second place basically gets like a precursor, a gift of fortune, and a gift of mastery, and like third
Good.
place and everything under also gets like pretty good rewards. So that's going to be exciting, and just the tournament itself is going to be exciting.
salty
That always
about
sees a
this?
lot of people come back to play.
Who in the world
why
is
is sign up?
salty about
So
this?
it's not optimal to decline the top 4 match anymore. I don't
It's
think I'm gonna
not.
win.
I might have done that the last TOL because I wanted my gift of mastery and not a precursor.
Okay.
I
That's good, that's
personally,
good.
him,
Yep.
Yeah, TOL obviously very exciting.
unironically,
We'll have to
very
get a
cool.
team together for that one
Very,
too.
very cool.
I'm sure that'll happen.
Now
just like the
ANET
weekly
confirm
AGs.
it.
So we can go to the next
right.
slide.
Moving
I'm sorry,
on.
chat. This
Away
is
from
huge.
the
Talk
audience
about-
This is out
tournaments.
of-
Whoa, what is that?
What did I do to
That's
deserve
a
this?
picture. That's a screenshot.
Yeah.
An image
An
on a
image.
PowerPoint.
So this is the new color title for tournaments. At the top, it mentions what people already know. Champion Brawler is being colored. It'll be the same color that you see here. It's going to be retroactively. Everyone that has Champion Brawler will get the color title. Everyone in the
Ah,
future
it's
will
not
get the
purple.
color
God
title.
damn it.
And so we're doing a new system for the Champion of Champions title, which it's going to be based around playing in MATs more than once. Like a lot of the time, you know, if you
I
get
like that,
first, you
actually.
get your title in a
Yeah,
gizmo,
and
and
then you
then
dip.
the reasons for coming back and
sell
doing it
'em.
again aren't great. And if you don't get first, then you don't really get a lot. There's not, you know, if you don't think you get first, it's not really a great reason to play. So we're going to be giving these proofs of glory to first through fourth. So you have to place high to get some, but if you don't get first, you're still gonna get progress as this achievement. You
Bruh.
see that first will get 30, second will get 15, and third and fourth will get 10. And then at 120 proofs, you'll get the title, Champion of Champions. So the fastest you can get it is with 4 months of first place. Or, you know, if you're just pretty consistent to get third and
4
fourth, but you
months
can't
of
really get
first
more than
place.
that, then after a year, you'll still get the achievement. And then the achievement's repeatable, so you can track even after you get 120. We know a lot of people will hit this number, but then they'll still want to play. There's not really an extra thing you get for it, but you know, if in the future you'd be like, I have 300 proofs of glory, and you want to brag about that, then you certainly can.
Link it in chat.
Link it
Yep.
in
Yeah.
chat.
Al, any quips?
This is nuts.
Any quips? Is this the end of the PvP session?
I
one more.
will.
Cal's
I
just
will
here to
note
be
that
salty that Team USA.
this is not retroactive. People
Oh
that
my
have
God.
already been winning first,
This
you will
is
still
nuts.
need to sign up and do it. We want this to be a reason that people play more MATs, and so, you know, you gotta play more for this. You don't get progress. You're not gonna get credit for things you already did. We want this to be a driver
So
for more
cool.
engagement.
I don't have any good quips for this one.
I expect one at the end of the next slide.
Yeah, I do too, man.
And now we come to Djinn's Dominion changes.
go. What you got?
You know what, Taylor? I think we'll have you talk about these.
Yep.
Fix it up a little.
Djinn's Dominion.
Taylor's the
Once
one
the
who's
map
played
came
the game
out,
in the last year.
you know, we definitely
Talk
see a
about
lot
everything.
of people interacting with the objective, like I mentioned. It was seen as like low value. The only time people interacted with it is to go into the lamp arena to like kite and then come right out.
Yes.
So we've made some efforts to make it more appealing. You can see that the objective is now a channel instead of a capture point, so it's going to work like Temple of Silent Storm, where you have to channel to get the thing, and then you used to give the special action key to your entire team. Everyone would get the skill, but now only the person who channels is going to get the skill, and that lets us make it like really more powerful. So if you're a thief that has time to go to get it, or a side noter that really wants to lock down that 1v1 to secure the buff, and you're gonna like hopefully feel pretty rewarded for that.
Oh, we got to do the
so we've also updated the skills that you're gonna get. So giant meteor, it used to be just a ground target that would like fall and do damage. It wasn't really that impressive. So now it's going to be a targeted skill, and it's going to follow them, kind of like Dragon's Tooth. And it's going to do a lot of things. It's basically like a kill marker that you put on your target. It's going to knock down.
That's just insta-kill them. Okay.
It removes all their boons and applies vulnerability. If you see this on someone, if it's on you, you're going to really need to dodge this. And if you see someone on your team put it on them, to focus that target. Force out a defensive cooldown so that they don't have a dodge for the giant meteor, or that they're going to dodge the giant meteor, and you can plan that they don't have a dodge after it. So this is a pretty good
Taylor telling you how to play PvP
skill to use if you want to focus a target. And then the second skill is going to be Waters of Life.
It's so weird that it's
replacing
random,
Disenchantment Field.
You gotta,
in its
know
essence,
what they do once you get it,
a targeted AoE that revives allies and finishes enemies in a radius. It has about the same cast time as the necromancer, Signet of Undeath, so it's a decently fast cast.
Doesn't seem very good.
This could be obviously turn a fight really fast. It's res Signet, but also if you just want to finish an enemy, you have the option to do that too.
How am I going to remove?
It still explodes my brain that they did this like last minute. Again, ArenaNet, thank you. This is great. More communication like this, even if it's last minute. I love it. This is awesome.
All of my boons now, though.
It doesn't remove all of the boons from yourself. That's a pretty big upside. Gotta admit, or removes conditions from
upside,
your
right? Yes, that's a good thing. You're right.
And then we can move on to the third skill, Waxing Doom. It lost a lot of value. Now that you're the only person on the team with the skill, doesn't really make a lot of sense. It kind of was that targeted fire before, but now we're doing Starfall, where it's going to be kind of like the worldly impact, kind of jump up and smash the ground. And it'll launch enemies in a radius around you, do some pretty good damage if you land it. But the bigger thing is that if you're on an enemy node that they control, it'll decap the node. So this is like if there's a bunker that's holding down a node, your team can't get it, or the points are close, you really need that fast decap. You can get the skill, go to the point, decap it immediately. Nothing much the other team can do. So hopefully all these three skills are pretty interesting and valuable, and people will start interacting with them like the objective at Djinn's. And the last point is that leaving the lamp arena will apply teleport sickness with a scaling duration like Skyhammer. So people are used to Skyhammers. It's kind of to both prevent people from going in and out of the lamp just to kite, but also prevent people from being able to go in and out of the lamp easily to just like one-tap people to stop them from channeling the objective.
Gets 25
if you go in and out, the first thing is pretty short, but after it goes like 10-15 seconds, and so if you can't 1v1 the person trying to channel, you'll be in a pretty sticky situation, because then they can just, you're trapped in there with them.
Never want to be in one of those.
So that should pretty much cover it. Little note that isn't on here is that the midpoint has a bug that it's slightly lower. So if you start jumping on the midpoint, you won't cap it. We fixed that. So that's also pretty good Djinn's change. But that should pretty much wrap it up for the PvP changes.
All right, Cal?
That's pretty good. Well, I don't have any quick, but I just have like more things to say.
And we're nerfing Blade Sworn.
Like the Djinn's changes are pretty good. The secondary objective now being a channel, and Taylor talked about this a little bit, but like it's so much faster to cap now as well. Instead of having to stand off the map for like 14 seconds to cap a capture point uncontested, now you just pop in. So it's a lot more like Coliseum, where like those buffs are things that it's very easy for a roamer to go pick up, or someone to go snag after a fight ends. So we're hoping to see a lot more engagement with the secondary mechanic, because it's now a lot more powerful, but it's also easier to get.
Yeah, I will also say that this is not being added to AT's MAT schedule. We would definitely want to see how people play with this before we added something big like that.
Hopefully it's not another 3-year
keeping our eye on this map and see how people react to these changes.
Because Djinn Dominion was in the game for like 3 years before they changed nothing and then just put it like in the permanent rotation.
On the slides anywhere, because it's already live. It's the rank reward updates. You have anything to say about those, Taylor? Or we already put them in the patch notes for
your potions now,
I believe. So
yeah,
people are aware. But do you want to talk about it at all?
Yeah, people didn't see them. Ranked rewards got updated. basically now for as you do your ranked reward track, the chest, you'll get, we added karma to PvP. That was a big ask because a lot of the special skins like the Aurene variants cost a lot of karma, and main PvP players can have a great resource for that. So we're added that. You're also going to get faster PvP ranked reward potions as you progress, which will obviously make your reward track go faster, more gold, which is great. We also reduced the amount of ascended shards it costs to buy ascended armor, and increase the amount of grandmaster marks you got from doing the ranked reward track, which in itself just makes it easier to get ascended gear. We know a lot of people want to play more than one game mode, and so we didn't want to make it feel like when you're playing PvP you're wasting your time and you can't, you know, grind for the gear that you could in PvE, and we want to make it easier to go back and forth game modes. So hopefully all these changes make it feel more rewarding to play PvP and easier to just get involved with the game in general.
I mean, they admitted it. This is like Killer Instinct to getting a patch after 10 years, like almost literally, chat.
Now move on to the World versus World updates.
You have no idea how surreal this
for a little
is.
bit. And yeah, we're going to be focusing on some scoring updates. We've talked about this a little bit previously. We mentioned in a blog post that, you know, we really wanted to heavily rework some parts of scoring, how scoring works in World versus World. We've also got an update on how contesting objectives works, and we've got a little bit of a look at a tactic and some siege updates there in World versus World. Right. So first and foremost, a lot of numbers here. You know,
interesting.
Feel free to screenshot and or go back in the VOD and look at them. You can see at the top, the first one, the table there is for you. Second one is for NA. We've got the time zones, their own respective time zones. But the idea here is basically that victory points, which are the points you earn every skirmish, which are 2-hour blocks for World versus World, are now going to be weighted based on the player population per that skirmish, and per. Again, we have the different ones per region here. Yeah, the idea basically is that we want to make sure we're rewarding, you know, the time zones or the time blocks that are, you know, based on the amount of players that are playing them. Right now, every single skirmish is worth the same amount of points, you know, no matter how many players are playing versus them. We don't want to, you know, feel as though we're taking away points from players, but we also want to make sure that we're giving players
get
you know,
wrecked,
an equal amount of points based on, you know, again, the activity during that skirmish. These are numbers that we're planning on tweaking if needed. This is obviously, you know, the first time we're changing this. You know, these numbers might not be perfect. You know, first go.
The Sea of Sorrows was dominant.
You know, we also expect that there's a chance that player population shift as time goes on, as we continue to make updates to the game mode. And so we are going to be prepared to change these numbers as we see them to be needed. I think that more or less covers it. Obviously, it's a pretty significant change, but it is also, you know, not really too much depth to it there. I don't know if Hal or Taylor, you have any comments? But
yeah, you know, if these numbers look a little all over the place to you guys, we can confirm that Roy has a mad scientist spreadsheet that he put together to figure out the right values.
Oh boy, Roy did
and,
this.
You know, obviously, they're kind of like a ballpark. Still trying to find, you know, numbers that make sense. I'm not expecting them to be exactly perfect, because they are trying to be slightly based off, you know, like relative player populations per skirmish, but they're not going to be like an exact, this is, you know, multiplied by 2.34 because of whatever, but they are
some music chat.
Thoughtful numbers, even if that might not be obvious.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we did, you know,
no one understands the spreadsheet except for Roy. He linked it to me. He's like, can you look at this? I'm like, can you explain?
Tells like I'm looking at it.
Spreadsheet? But you know, once he explained it, it all makes sense. So we can trust it.
Good to know. Good to know. The maths check out. Yeah, we did go through many iterations with this. You know, we do have plans to potentially change how this restructuring of the victory points works. Again, you know, we definitely want to keep an eye on it and make sure that, you know, this is a positive change, that this is doing what we want it to. You know, making, you know, the skirmishes that have, you know, full maps for several hours, you know, feel that they're rewarded, feel that they're worth playing for, feel that they're worth fighting for. And yeah, so it is something we're going to be definitely keeping an eye on. Definitely, again, tweaking the numbers as needed. Yeah. But that is just the first change we have.
I like that they spend more time saying nothing on that section than they did covering Warrior.
Be a little bit smaller. Once again, we're changing some numbers here.
Okay,
so we've got point changes. The war score that you get from capturing objectives is going to be increased.
So,
an important note here is that camps are not having any of their points being changed, or point values being changed. and tier 0 objectives are not having any
a lot
feature.
for stone
So
mist, that's for sure.
we're not going to see, a case where flip a keep and then 5 minutes later on the next tick.
Or
it gets
score
flipped
water
back,
for defeating an
and,
enemy
you
player. Hell
get
yeah.
Score from that. If it's not upgraded at all,
I'm
it's
earning
not going to change.
1/3 more points.
But the idea here is that
I guess
once
50% more.
as time goes on, as you are defending an objective, as you're upgrading it, it becomes harder to flip. It becomes harder, potentially a little bit easier to defend.
All right.
And so you see these longer fights around objectives that in general, especially when during the more active skirmishes. It takes longer to flip an objective. You have to put more effort into it, and so you should be rewarded more for that effort.
Please.
As we
Dear
said
God.
with the victory point
Stop
changes, these are our
It's
first
a good change, Roy.
jab
Next
at these
thing.
numbers. It's possible that these numbers are too high. It's possible these numbers are too low. Again, we're going to be keeping an eye on if this changes any sort of behavior. If these numbers seem good, obviously we're looking at feedback, seeing
Getting
how
a snack,
players
chat.
respond to them. But again, the idea here is that obviously 120 points for tier 3 Stone Mist Castle is a lot of points. It's a big chunk of points, especially in a 2-hour block. If you flip it during them, and so that means that you should be incentivized more towards flipping harder objectives, where maybe before you didn't want to put in that effort. But it also means that
You
defending
didn't
it is
wanna
going to
put in
feel more
that
valuable
effort.
as well, preventing enemy teams from getting that
Oh,
larger
man.
chunk of points. Put more effort into holding that objective for longer. It should feel more valuable to hold.
In case you wanted to play a game
and
mode,
then
but put
on
in
the bottom
0
there,
effort.
small note, very, very self-explanatory. The war
Loudest
score you get
protein bar in
from
the
killing
world.
an enemy player in World vs. World is going from 2 to 3.
Hell yeah.
This is,
Make
we
it
don't really expect
50.
this to be a huge shift for most skirmishes or most point gains, but we did notice that there weren't really any skirmishes that were won or lost dependent on kills and deaths, outside of maybe a couple of skirmishes, especially around reset times when there's a lot more fights happening, during those hours. But for the most part, we're not really seeing points from kills being that effective or having much weight on whether or not a skirmish is won or lost. And so this is just a very slight bump.
And again, recap.
Again,
Skirmishes
we're
are
not
the
expecting this
2-hour
to make a
blocks.
huge shift, but we are expecting it to maybe feel a little bit better. For getting points from kills. Again, as always, we'll be keeping an eye on it. If it seems like this is blowing kills out of proportion, or value from kills out of proportion, we can always lower that number back if we need to. Alright, that will more or less wrap it up for scoring. I will just note, for myself, that scoring is something that I think there's no necessarily best solution for it. This is something that we've been wanting to work on
Video
for a
game,
while.
there's
We've
no
talked
best
about it
solution for
previously.
anything.
And it's definitely, a big task that we've been wanting to work on and address, and we'll continue iterating and
least
tweaking,
shit
as
solution.
needed.
I guess
But
that's the best
now that we
solution,
feel as
right?
though we've gotten at least some changes in for scoring, we can really start looking towards something else that we've talked about previously, which is
Gameplay.
incentivizing winning,
Damn
making
it.
players more interested in winning, making winning
Edge
feel
of the
better
miss.
for players,
Damn it.
and for teams. And so, now that we've gotten these scoring changes, or we're going to be getting them in next week, that is going to be probably where we're putting a lot of our focus for the time being and moving forward, which I think, we've seen a lot of players asking for, they want more reasons to be playing and winning. And that is very important to us, and it's definitely a major goal that we are planning on looking at for the future.
I like 10 more
All right,
minutes.
that will wrap it up for scoring changes.
Ah.
So we've got now two pretty big changes here for how fighting in and around structures is going to be. So the first one is going to be changing how structures and objectives get contested. So right now on live, what happens is as soon as a guard that is associated an NPC
Oh, no
that is
more
associated
delayed
with an
contesting.
objective
Interesting.
gets into combat, or
But
as soon
now,
as someone
not the
hits a
walls,
gate or a
just the
wall,
lord or a
with
supervisor put
whatever
into combat.
damages said gate or wall,
Oh, no,
they
gate
get
or
into
wall.
combat.
Okay.
That structure will become
No,
contested.
that makes sense.
And so this is somewhat problematic for structures that are tier 3, that have
Or
waypoints in
anything.
them. It's very easy for a single player to tag, as is commonly known, a gate or a guard on a tier 3 keep or a tier 3 SMC, and prevent that waypoint from being used for the duration of that repel event,
Or
3 minutes, and then go back and
When
just
your
do it
zone
again on
gets there,
repeat.
you send the
This
thief
isn't
ahead
really
to
healthy
tag
behavior.
your
This
guard,
isn't really
and
what
it
we
puts it in
feel
combat,
should
so you
be
can't
enough
respond.
to contest
Very
an
common
objective.
tactic.
And so we're changing it. So
Basically,
putting
what
guards
they're
in
saying is
combat,
fuck
attacking
these.
guards, killing guards is no longer going to contest objectives.
I'm kidding. but
The
only
only NPC that will contest an objective is the Lord. So if you do get into the Lord room, obviously, especially on keeps, you've gotten through several layers of defense, you've gotten through several walls and gates.
You packed into a garrison.
Getting that Lord into
etc.
combat is going to, just as it is now on live, put that objective essentially in combat and contest it. The other way to contest an objective is going to be by damaging a wall or a gate under a health threshold. Right now, that health threshold is 98%. as with every number in the stream, we can tweak that if needed. We're going to be keeping an eye on how that number feels. But the idea here is going to be that, once again, we don't want someone to be able to just run up to a gate, hit it with any ability, put it in combat, basically do 1 damage to it, and contest the objective for. And so now you're going to have to at least commit some time or some actual siege to be able to get those walls or gates down under the threshold for contesting the objective. It's important to note right now there are crossed swords that appear on an objective. You can see that in the screenshot a little bit.
There's a lot
right
of
on the center icon of the objective. Those swords, normally currently alive, they appear 30 seconds after the objective gets contested, 30 seconds after the objective, or the repel event for that objective starts. Obviously, now there's going to be a bit of a delay between.
I love that they're doing this.
There would be a bit of a delay between when those swords pop up and when an enemy group is actually basically sieged up and on a gate or a wall. We want to make sure that defenders have as much time as possible to see objectives being contested and respond to it. And so those cross swords are going to appear as soon as the event pops up. So there's not going to be that delay anymore. There's not going to be 6 rams on a gate ready to go and already having the gate at 80% before anyone even notices that the objective is contested. So defenders should have a good amount of time to respond. We want to make sure that they're not feeling as though they're losing any value or they're losing any ability to respond to objectives. And on the same vein here, in regards to responding to objectives, we're taking a look at the emergency waypoint tactic. And so now the emergency waypoint tactic is going to spawn not 1, not 2, but 3 waypoints when you pull it. The duration of the tactic has not changed. It's just going to be an additional couple of waypoints. You can see in the screenshot there that's going to be the green keep on Eternal Battlegrounds. They're going to be the additional 2 waypoints will be relatively close to the Lord's Room, relatively placed around the Lord's Room. We can certainly change the placement of these waypoints if we feel like we need to, if we feel like any specific placement is being abused in a bad way. But the idea here is basically that a lot of times what we see is an enemy group will break into a Lord's Room. They'll be on the Lord. Defenders, whether they've been focused on defending another objective, they've been focused. They just weren't aware. Maybe of the attack, whatever it may be. And they take the emergency waypoint and they basically spawn into a huge Zerg, a huge group of players.
Imagine
that just
being that guy inappropriate.
There's nothing really they can do because obviously their normal waypoint is contested.
Oh my God.
And so we want to make sure that doesn't really happen. You shouldn't feel as though responding to an objective immediately leads to your death. So now you'll have the ability to take 1 of 3 different waypoints. We're hoping that this results in potentially some good communication between defending groups. Linking a specific waypoint. Saying take the north waypoint, what have you. And making sure that, or basically forcing attacking groups to have to pay more attention to where defenders are coming in, and not being able to just stand on top of a single spot, a single waypoint, and basically just farm defenders coming in. Because again, we want to make sure that defending feels good and so you're able to defend objectives.
I feel like they could give like the Lord's reveal
more or less
something.
wraps it up for those changes.
Roy, is this your favorite objective? What's the choice of screenshot here?
That's a great question.
It's
it is not my favorite objective.
AM apparently.
I'm not sure what my favorite objective would be, and before anyone says no, it is not Roy's Refuge, because in fact that was not named after me. Named after a different Roy, unfortunately. And actually, maybe it's probably Cohen's
probably still
Overlook.
cover
Is
the
that
Lord
the
with like
name?
reveal traps, right?
I think that's my favorite one, named after my favorite BuildWars2 designer.
One of the ruins.
Right
One of the ruins, yeah. I love the ruins.
I was actually added against my suggestion. So just gonna throw that out there.
I like that one. No, actually, the reason that I picked the green ED keep, I was originally going to do blue, but when I spawned into the map, I was put on the green team. So that's the objective that I went to.
I really like the global event that they took off of Desert.
You can differentiate between these waypoints, right, Roy? They all their names are slightly different, not all the same name. So if someone links it, you can know which one.
So the names are going to unfortunately appear as the same for the first release of this, but we are planning on updating the names, so each one of them is going to be different for the following release. We will, there is going to be
emergency waypoint left, emergency waypoint right, emergency waypoint. Don't go to this one because it's
if
in
you
the
link a
center.
waypoint in chat and someone takes it, you'll be able to just go to that direct waypoint. The link will work.
This is
and the names
awesome.
again, they will be updated for the following release. So there will be
They're
specific
doing stuff, chat.
names of the
Oh my
waypoints.
God.
We'll be able to tell which
What
one
is this game?
in that
This
following.
Street Fighter?
Get the text.
And worst case, you take the wrong waypoint, you die. You can
just take
luckily
the next
just
one.
take the other waypoint.
Yeah.
So not
exactly.
huge.
That's a decent
Again,
point.
the duration of this tactic is not going to be changed, and of course that is something that if this just makes it so much too overpowered, too strong, that is something that we can definitely look at as well, reducing the duration of the tactic. But we can
Got
move
5 more
on from
minutes and
this
nothing,
now.
or we got something
We're going to be
else?
taking a look at some siege changes. We haven't really had a lot of the siege updates recently.
Interesting.
And so, you know, we're taking a look
more
at some.
useless. Sick.
Haven't really had touches in a while. Mostly going to be supply cost changes. Hopefully, we see a little bit more siege used in certain ways, or potentially a little bit less. Maybe they were a little bit too strong.
I love
But
how
before we
they
get to that,
somehow
we're going
still
to be talking
managed
about
to
some
indirectly
boons,
nerf
everyone's favorite
plate
topic. And specifically, boons not applying to siege. Alacrity is not going to be able to be applied to any siege.
Oh my
we feel
God.
that cooldowns on siege are specific to that siege.
This game,
you know,
man.
they weren't really balanced around having alacrity. And having alacrity.
Which one? The
is
last class
both
with
for attacking
alacrity?
and for defending. This is
Other
something
than
that's going
renegade?
to affect both. It's not going to affect just one or the other.
Oh my God.
So
That-
if you
that
have
kills
alacrity,
me.
it's going to get removed when you get on a ram or a catapult or what have you. If you are on a piece of siege and someone applies alacrity to you, it is not going to apply. Similarly, no boons will be applied to golems other than swiftness. Swiftness feels good to have on a golem, so there's not really a reason to take it off. But the rest of the boons, we don't want applying to golems either. We just feel that again, golems are very,
But the
very
boons
powerful
didn't
tools.
even affect golems.
Mostly
It was
used
like
for
light
attacking,
and swiftness, and, that was it or
and boons
something.
on them are going to be just a little bit too. Next
So
change
there's
is going
like
to be
a
that flame ram health. This is
set
going to be a little
amount
bit of an
of time
interesting
that'll
one.
take
Is going to
to,
be
like, get
lowered
them
by
all done?
50%. So obviously that's a pretty significant change. In terms of flame ram health, 50% is a big number, a big change. However, if they are manned, they're going to have iron hide applied to them.
If they are
50%
personed,
damage
excuse
reduction.
me.
The idea here is that
2024.
we don't necessarily want to make it, we don't want putting up flame rams, just see them wiped out immediately if you're trying to destroy a gate. But a lot of times what will happen is, you'll have a couple of defenders on an objective, and maybe a group comes in to respond, and a group has gotten through outer, so they put rams up on the gate. The defenders are able to wipe the attackers, but the flame rams are still there, and there's only a couple of defenders left. It takes a really long time for them to kill those flame rams. It takes a really long time to destroy them just because of the high health pool. And so we want to make that a little bit faster. We want to make it a little bit easier to clear out attackers' siege for defenders, and make it easier for them to get on to the next thing that they want to be doing for defending, whether it's repairing gates, setting up more defensive siege, or what have you. So this hopefully is going to make that feel better. If those numbers seem a little bit out of whack, we can again,
Wow,
as always,
supply costs really
adjust them
getting
if we need
changed.
to. But this shouldn't
Especially
also
arrow
take
cards.
away
That's kinda
any
huge, actually.
ability to be
Siege
hitting
golem,
gates with
arrow
rams
cards,
because of the
superior
iron hide
arrow
applied when they are manned.
Interesting. Are superior arrow
And then,
cards
as I said
cheaper
earlier,
than
you
guild
can see
arrow
that the
cards
supply
now?
costs for several pieces of siege have been adjusted. Guild siege golems we felt just were a little bit too easy to get value from.
That's
They're
really
an
weird.
extremely strong,
Looking at
maybe the
guild arrow
strongest
cards.
piece of offensive siege. And they have a very low supply cost, so we're just going to be bumping that up a little bit. That's just the average of both alpha golems and omega golems, so right in the middle there, which is
superior
nice.
Arrow cards are
And then we're
cheaper than
getting
guild
some
sub-
supply
arrow
cost
cards.
reductions
That's
on
weird.
several other pieces of siege. We feel that trebuchets and arrow carts are primarily strongest when it comes to defense. And so we want to make sure that those are a little bit easier to use for
just like
defense, especially
regular
given the
trebuchets?
recent changes we've
So
had,
confused.
where you have to put more supplies into walls and gates to actually rebuild them. There's going to be obviously a bigger drain of supplies there, so we want to make sure that having an objective have its proper defensive siege isn't going to cost you as many supplies.
Why are guild
Getting
arrow cards more
defensive siege
expensive?
back up after attackers have come through and maybe cleared some out isn't going to cost as much. You have more supplies to put in to those gates and walls if you need, or for whatever else you might need. So hopefully
probably
this will
just
feel
forgot
good
it. They must
for
have.
primarily we're looking at defenders with this, but again we're going to be able to keep an eye on it, and as always, if need to be adjusted.
It's gonna be
What are those?
something, David.
I believe we can move on to the final slide, which actually wasn't really talked about in the main point there, unless again, Howard, Taylor, any comments? Taylor, you've been being very patient. I appreciate it.
On final slide, let's go.
Looks good.
Looks good. Oh, great.
I
All right.
will
Well,
note. I will
seal of
note
approval
that
for Taylor.
the note on golems, it says boons and things like super speed and stealth are not boons, thus
Correct.
not included in this note.
That is correct.
Oh, can you
how are
no
your
longer do the
trebuchet skills
infinite,
in
like,
World Reaper?
jump out of a
Are you gonna be
golem?
ready for the lower supply cost?
I mean, as a
Dodge
PvP
into a
player,
thing is
I
a
don't
feat.
get why we can't just have like a circle. You click where you want, then it moves itself. Pretty good system. So I'm trying
That would
to
be too easy. Way too easy. All right,
we can
moving on
fight
to
in the
the
shade.
final slide
I
here.
love it.
This is something
Ooh.
fun stuff. PvP is getting a lot of rewards. We felt a little bit bad about that, so we got some rewards here for World vs. World, specifically a new weapon
Origin
set.
ingredient. What's that about?
You'll notice that these do look a little familiar. They are going to be basically new versions of the hero and Mistforged hero weapons.
Okay with that.
This is a corrupted version, a demonic version, if you will,
Where's the
of
spear?
that
There's the
weapon
spear.
set. That's the concept art there. You can
I think.
And so we're just adding a new weapon set here to World vs. World. There's 2 ways to earn these weapons. One is going to be through get them through the Mishardened lockboxes, which were lockboxes that we added last year to World vs. World on a new vendor. The keys are on the new vendor. The lockboxes you get from doing achievements. And so you have a chance to get a weapon chest for these new weapons from those boxes. Important to note is that those versions of the weapons are exotic. They're still account bound, but they are going to be exotic. However, if you have a lot of World vs. World currencies, if you have some of those rare hero weapons from the hero weapon reward track saved up, or if you just have you complete some reward tracks, and you forge them together with a couple of various different World vs. World items, you can upgrade that hero weapon to its corresponding corrupted version.
I like the idea of you either start a hero or you live long enough to become a corrupted hero from being so salty in World vs. World.
Of the weapons. Kind of similar to how the hero's weapons and the Mistfortune weapons have different rarities. They've got rare, they've got exotic, they've got ascended. We're going to be doing kind of a similar thing here, just different acquisition methods for those weapons.
Rifles,
but yeah,
middle,
once again,
middle bottom.
Not too much depth there with this. Just a new weapon set being added, a couple of different acquisition methods there for World vs.
Good
World.
job, guys.
I will say, because this would not be a proper Roy stream without it, this note is not here, but we are going to be updating some gathering nodes in World vs. World. Thank goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Probably my, of course, the best change. An herb synthesizers, or herb synthesizers, depending on,
actual rewards, though, this time?
Are going to have a chance to drop the varietal seeds needed for
oh my
cooking.
God, thank you.
You will still need the requirements completed.
That's such a good change.
Just like you would in PvE versions.
Thank you, Jesus.
Achievements for sended cooking, but as you
actually,
travel across the borderlands, the mists, and you get those sweet herb synthesizers, you will have a chance to get those varietal seeds.
I am not memeing, chat. That's an amazing change. The ability to get ascended or seeds for ascended
yes,
food,
I believe that will wrap it up for the World vs. World changes as well. As we kind of mentioned before, not talking about balance of the stream, not necessarily really long stream, but you just get a lot of these changes in front of y'all. And as Kyle mentioned at the beginning as well, we are going to be releasing these changes next week, which means wouldn't necessarily have a ton of time to iterate on things, but we are looking for earlier feedback on what you're seeing here. Obviously, a lot of these changes are going to be things that need to be played with, especially with the World vs. World changes, which are relying on a lot of numbers. We're going to need to see how the live audience is playing with them.
Almost like he heard me.
But we are going to be looking for initial reactions to them. So please give your feedback on, as always, forums, Reddit, wherever, and we will be looking for that.
Why were people salty about that, Sergio? Just because it's rewards that for a game mode they can't play?
I had the bug where I can't hear you for.
No. I'm just letting the silence go. I've wrapped up. I'm good to go.
That's my favorite part of doing a stream. It's like every once in a while the audio just cuts out for me and I can't hear anyone that's talking.
The audience cuts out for him. He can hear us.
I think that's something will
Oh
happen.
my God, he can hear us all the time.
Yep. All right.
I don't think I've ever used a mark shard.
I don't know if you have any final thoughts you want to give for the PvP changes you talked about already.
I mean, I just have a question. Do you guys 3v3 tournament is coming?
I'm busy.
I'm busy.
Oh.
You're busy
okay.
Every single time that it fires. It's
I think I'll have to check my calendar.
Anyone in chat want to join me? Triumphant Trio. We got this. Cal will come.
I'll do it.
Anyways.
Playing on a Bladesworn class that exists in this game technically.
Yeah, pretty good.
This is sweet, chat.
Cool, yeah. All right.
Thank you for pointing this out.
Cal?
I completely missed this.
No.
Sad they don't have new titles at the end of the stream.
All right, very good. Well, yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. Once again, the
Cal
changes are coming out in just a week.
Hold on.
Next week. Oh, yes.
No, wait. You can finish your spiel and then I'll say something.
All right. I was just gonna say. With the balanced preview streams, we'll have the forum posts for all the changes that we've displayed here on the forums. But because these changes are coming out next week, and we're basically just copying the release notes here, you'll be able to see those on the release note pages next week. Those will be coming out. So there isn't going to be any forum posts specifically for this stream, but the VOD will be up, and I double-checked that the audio is going to be there, so I don't think I made any spelling mistakes on this stream either. I don't think I messed up the slide, so I'm hitting 100 right now, batting 100.
Let's go, guys. Wrap it up. We'll talk about this.
I'm
Got a chronomancer to do.
100%.
Average is actually really bad.
It is, yeah.
Throw that out there.
I'm terrible
I'm
at baseball.
minimizing this.
Oh, okay.
Do they talk for
Actually
just
really
2 more
bad at
minutes just shooting the shit?
Ping pong.
Well, I'll check them.
Literal 30 seconds.
Those I can play. Hey, what's up, please?
I
I'm gonna
forgot what I
hide
was going to
my
say,
chat.
actually.
Fair enough. Awesome.
Oh,
Taylor, do you have
done.
anything that you forgot to say? Or have you forgotten anything you wanted to say?
Well, I'm gonna say the line, and you said it's your line, but I'm gonna say
Right.
it first.
Take us out, baby.
So, you know, get ready to queue for those new ATs, and we'll see y'all in the mist.
I couldn't have said it better myself, but I'm going to anyways. Thank you very much for watching and tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream, short as it was. Make sure to give us your feedback
Before I
as
got on
always,
this
and
bed
we will
back
keep an
there.
eye out for that. Changes will be coming
Oh,
next
yeah.
week.
Is that a
And
plush version of Cal?
Also, let us know if you guys like the type of stream. Like, we know that
Yes,
everyone likes
this
the
is good.
streams, but you guys like
Actually,
competitive streams?
more communication,
I think it's pretty good.
more leeway or
But you
lead
can also
time,
give
but
that
more
feedback. If there's
communication.
anything that you want that you could see like improved in terms of the preview itself, not necessarily specific changes, that's something that we're also interested in,
You could
because
fix
it's the
Blade's
first
one.
time that we've done this
That's
for
my suggestion.
non-balanced
Let's
changes.
go. Oh my
So
god,
keep that
this
in
is
mind.
awesome though, chat.
And until next time, we will see you in the mists.
If that's not the last thing, I'm closing the stream. Thank God. That was nuts. Okay, so shout out to chat for bringing that to my attention. A lot of good World vs. World PvP changes that I completely missed today, and apparently they got more stuff coming next week, so look out for it. Don't know if this will make it into a full edited video, but yeah, just about the only thing that I have questions about, and I really hope they iterate on if it's a problem, is you playing in off hours, so it kind of feels crappy if you're like an OCX server, say on an NA, or in an OCX time slot on an NA server, but other than that, yeah, rewards for World vs. World, I'll always take it. This is sick. All right, cool. I'm Pseudo. This is BuildWars2, and I'll see you guys in Tyria. Peace out. This rules. Look out for more next week.